ABB Formula E is the world's premier all-electric racing series where 24 drivers represent 12 teams and go head-to-head on unique street circuits in city centres around the globe.
The technology is pushed to its limits in the most unpredictable and exciting racing that motorsport has ever seen.
Street Racers is your guide to this high-voltage, adrenaline-charged world. So let's take a look at what's coming up.
We jump inside the helmet of a Formula E driver with the brand new driver's eye technology.
Nyck de Vries invites us behind the scenes at the Mercedes-Benz EQ simulator.
Sam Bird hangs out with London's Mayor Sadiq as they visit a school in the city to talk air pollution.
But first up, let's take a look at how the season has played out so far.
In the season-opening doubleheader in Saudi Arabia, Sam Bird stormed to the first win of the season, while incredible debut races for Porsche and Mercedes meant Andre Lauderer and Stoffel van Dorn took second and third.
Porsche and Mercedes on the podium in their first race in ABB FIA Formula E.
For race 2, BMW's Alexander Sims took his third pole position in a row and led from start to finish to take his first ever win ahead of Audi's Lucas de Grassi in second, with Van Dorn once again finishing in third place. What a start to the season for Mercedes-Benz EQ.
Round 3 moved to the capital of Chile, Santiago, for another sizzler in the sweltering temperatures.
Jaguar Racing's cool Kiwi Mitch Evans stayed freshest in quali to take pole position, but couldn't hold off the charging BMW of Max Günther, who went on to make an incredible last lap overtake onto Cheetah's Antonio Felix da Costa to take his first ever win, BMW's second of the season.
Max Günther wins BMW's second race in a row.
After 3 rounds, this is how the Drivers' Championship is looking. After his first race win, Max Günther moves up to 4th place overall, and that 2nd place finish moves Antonio Felix da Costa up into 7th in the championship. But it's Mercedes' Stoffel van Dorn sitting pretty at the top of the pile as the only driver to score points in every race so far, with Alex Sims just 3 points behind.
After that great winning start, Sam Bird is still sitting in third, despite only scoring a further 2 points in his push to finally secure the title. Double Formula E champion Jev is sitting down in 16th with only 4 points so far in the defence of his title.
As Formula E races are held in city centers around the world on temporary street tracks, the teams get a very limited amount of real testing time. This means using a simulator has become vital to success in the championship.
We caught up with Mercedes-Benz EQ driver Nyck de Vries during his sim sessions ahead of the Santiago E-Prix.
It's certainly the most difficult car I've driven so far, for many reasons. The circuits are extremely challenging. Obviously, you try to prepare yourselves best possible. That's why we come here to prepare ourselves ahead of a race weekend and go through all the possible scenarios and race conditions. And I think it really helps as a rookie to have that kind of preparation going into a weekend. The real feel for the car is difficult to replicate here. I remember going through shakedown and feeling the track conditions, and I just couldn't believe it. I thought, what have I committed to? I mean, we were going through in 110 kilowatts and the grip was like driving on ice, and we only had like 2-3 practice sessions before going into quali, and then the track evolves, but still there was only one real line, so as soon as you put your wheels outside you would risk to crash immediately.
Oh, there's just no grip, is there? You can hear every time he touches the throttle, the rear spin up.
Be screaming to the engineers, just give me some more grip.
We have a certain process that we follow, training the driver for push laps and target laps. This is the bulk of the early part of the race, so obviously they need to understand how to not only just extract the lap time, but to do it in an efficient manner. So we'll go through different energy levels, how to drive those.
So to me, the lift point in turn 1 is a bit early, but 10.
So you think
11.
we're, yeah, okay.
I mean, obviously you have simulations which are a lot
Yeah.
smarter.
No, but you're thinking, no,
But
from a
it's
pure
just-
racing point of view,
Yeah.
you feel we're vulnerable into turn one.
It was just something I noticed.
Yeah.
Let's say,
No, that's fine.
yeah.
No, I mean, that's the whole point. We'll do quite a lot of mileage just to make sure that Nyck is ready. Every time we do a race run, he'll come back, he'll look at the data with the engineers, he'll look at his own performance, he has a little bit of a think about it, jumps back in, drives it again, and every time we do that iteration, his performance improves and he gives us better feedback.
The consumption was really in line with my lap time. So as soon as I went down on lap time and going a bit quicker, that was also the point I started to overconsume a little bit. The key to use the simulator is to use it as a tool to prepare me for all the possible scenarios we could face during a race, all the switches, all the handlings we need to do for a race, track learning, energy management. So I think in Formula E, the simulator preparation is very important.
It looks like all that preparation certainly paid off for Nyck in Santiago when he crossed the line in 3rd place from an 8th place start. But unfortunately, his maiden podium was taken from him thanks to a battery infringement by the Mercedes team before the race.
Bringing the excitement of Formula E to your screens requires a lot of technology and over 100 cameras. But now we've gone one step further in bringing you closer to the action with Driver's Eye.
Driver's Eye is the tiniest camera in auto racing sports that is fitted into the helmet of the driver, delivering the ultimate experience that the driver is living on the racetrack.
I spent 30 years driving racing cars, and even I think this is cool.
This is brilliant.
That's just phenomenal.
Compared to other technology, the way you develop a camera like this works basically backwards. Because you are in auto racing, because the safety requirements are very important, we had to start from the weight and the size of the camera rather than choosing the best technology to deliver the best image. So we ended up with a camera that is like 2.5 grams inside the helmet, and it has barely the sensor. So we have to connect then the helmet to another box in the car that processes the image and then send it and feed the broadcasting.
It's a great initiative. I've seen some of the footage from the first race we had in Saudi, and yeah, it gives really a unique input, especially for the fans to see what the actual drivers see in the cockpit. So it's a great addition, and yeah, to really engage with the fans so they can interact with us and feel what it's like to be in a race car.
Looking for all the settings that you need to change, that you need to do in the steering wheel. You're looking for all the energy you have in the car, the battery, for all the numbers and that you need to follow, especially in the race. And also you look into the racetrack, you look into the corners, you look into the curbs, you look into the mirrors, everywhere. You're looking more or less on the same time. So this is nice for the people also to understand what you're doing when you are driving.
Now look at this. We're on board with Felipe Massa, with Driver's Eye, inside the Brazilian's helmet.
Look how much his head moves around, looking down, looking for turn 9 now. Where is the corner?
Perhaps what will be shocking is how quickly we have to actually look at the dash and look in the mirrors to understand the whole situation, to understand a strategy, what's going on with the energy and so on. And we have very little time to actually analyze all these things and even to look at all these things. So perhaps they get a feel for that.
What an incredible view of the racing. And that's probably as close as you and I are ever going to get to driving a Formula E car ourselves.
Now we've seen the view from the cockpit for ourselves. It's time to check out what the future of motorsport might look like. Girls on Track is an initiative supported by the FIA and ABB Formula E, which aims to encourage more girls to get involved in the exciting world of motorsport.
FIA Girls on Track is a program dedicated for girls from 8 to 18 years old. I think it's really important that the girls are seeing that there is a chance for them to pursue their career in motorsport, that they can be a driver, they can be a pure specialist, they can be an engineer.
I think it's really cool how now women are starting to also going into the motorsports industry. Motorsports isn't only about the racers and driving the cars, it's also about the engineers, how they help fix the car, how the journalists, how they report everything that's going on.
When I
I was 3 years old. My grandpa, he took me to the F1. I just really enjoyed it because I met Lewis Hamilton and Jenson Button back then. I started professionally go-karting and I just realised as the only girl, it's fun beating the boys when you do, so I've done the pit walk and I've taken a lot of photos with Formula E drivers.
A great event, the girls always go home smiling, and I think it's really important to show the girls that it's not just about the driving. There's so many different aspects, you know, mechanical side of things, engineering side of things.
Motorsport is one of the nicest kind of things and the biggest family you can get involved with, so yeah, more girls the better, I think.
To be honest, it's really great feeling that I can use my experience to inspire the young generation. That brings me a real joy, a bit different kind of joy, you know, because usually like I was the one like fighting, getting to the top, and now it's amazing because I have never thought that I would be able to share this experience, to talk with them, to say what I was going through, to say what were the potential boundaries, you know. FIA Girls on Track shows girls that there are possibilities, that they can, you know, live the dream and they can try their best in this beautiful world that is motorsport.
The future looks bright for these girls, and motorsport can only benefit from having more women involved. All the teams in the paddock are committed to fighting climate change, but Envision Virgin Racing are taking it one step further with the Race Against Climate Change programme. Through this programme, the teams are working with ambassadors who are raising awareness and making a difference in the battle against climate change. Adventurer and filmmaker James Lavelle has joined as the programme's newest ambassador. We caught up with him on his floating home in London to see how he's helping spread the word about an emissions-free future.
Well, I think you know, Race Against Climate Change for me is it's super exciting. Essentially, you know, parallels exactly what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get people educated, but also inspired with all of the positive action that is being taken, and inspire them to make changes in their own life. And suddenly my brain told me that I needed to go on this massive adventure from the UK to Chile to get to the climate change conference, the COP25, fossil fuel free, so without creating emissions, make a documentary with the aim of raising awareness about climate change that I would then deliver to the UN. So I left on the 26th of August, and that gave me 3 months, essentially. I started the trip on a sailboat, a combination of cycling and electric trains. In Seville, I boarded a tall ship, a big 3-masted sailing ship, on which I then was to spend the next 55 days. Yeah, it wasn't all plain sailing, not least of which finding out 2 weeks before I arrived in South America, the climate change conference in Santiago has been cancelled and moved to Madrid. So I had a big decision to make. Do I turn around and try and race back to Madrid, or do I continue as planned and go to Santiago and finish the job that I'd started? And continuing and delivering on that promise was more important. In the incredibly limited time I had left, how would I get across the continent? The only way to do that was to drive an electric car. I couldn't see any other way. I managed to get an electric van and drive across Argentina, finding industrial charging points into which I could then plug my portable charging station. And so through this incredible team effort with the local people of Argentina, it was possible, and bloody did it. First person ever to drive an electric car across Argentina. Then I had no choice but to leave the car in Mendoza and cycle up over the Andes in 3 days. In learning more and more about the climate crisis, there are fantastic technological solutions. Electrified transport, it's right at the heart of it. It's key. With Race Against Climate Change and Formula E and getting people excited in a really spectacular way about this new technology is a great thing to do.
ABB Formula E is the future of motorsport and continues to push technological boundaries in the race towards an emissions-free future. And here on Street Racers, we make sure to keep you in the loop with all the latest and most exciting developments from around the world. And the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas is one of the best places to get a glimpse into what a greener future might look like.
Japanese motoring giant Nissan were presenting the Ariya at CES, an all-electric crossover hatchback set to hit the streets in 2021.
With 300 miles of range and level 3 autonomy, it can drive itself as long as there's someone behind the wheel. The Ariya aims to help accelerate Nissan's push towards a green and sustainable future.
Going one step further than creating EVs for city streets, Toyota are planning on creating an entire eco-friendly city. The Woven City will sit at the base of Mount Fuji and will act as a living laboratory to develop tech in a range of industries, including vehicle autonomy, robotics, and smart homes in a real-world environment. The city aims to be completely sustainable, powered by hydrogen fuel cell technology, and its overall goal is to improve the way we live in the future. Sign me up!
BMW were presenting a new concept at CES. The i3 Urban is a reconfigured version of their i3 model, which aims to prove that traveling in luxury and comfort can come in a much smaller, sustainable package. The i3 Urban has a single armchair-style seat for the passenger for maximum comfort and has plenty of added personal and entertainment choices to make the journey as enjoyable as possible.
Now we've taken a look at what the evolution of sustainable cities and electric road-going cars might look like. Let's take a look at another step in the journey of electric motorsport.
Extreme E is an all-new global championship that will compete in incredible locations across the globe, with teams racing customized versions of the all-electric off-road Odyssey 21 SUV. The series is the brainchild of Formula E founder Alejandro Agag and will be kicking off in 2021.
The 5-race global voyage will highlight the impact of climate change and human activity on some of the world's most remote locations. And the inaugural championship starts with an ocean backdrop on the shores of Lac Rose in Senegal, just 30 kilometers from the capital of Dakar, a legendary name in off-road racing. Like many coastal areas, the West African shoreline is suffering from rising sea levels and increasing plastic pollution. And the salt beds, gravel, rocks, and undulating terrain will make for challenging racing conditions.
Round 2 will move to Saudi Arabia, the home of the world's largest continuous desert, where the teams, drivers, and especially the cars themselves will be pushed to their limits in the heat and spectacular terrain.
Next up, the tour moves to the subcontinent and the country of Nepal.
Today we are here in the heart of the Himalayas in the Mustang region, and we have announced our mountain Extreme E race. And it's going to take place on the highest mountain range in the world, the Himalayas. All the glacier ice in this region. We will lose another third before the end of the century if we cannot contain the rise of temperature in the planet below 1.5 degrees. We're going to also leave a legacy behind. We're going to work with the local community, with the local authorities to provide other solutions for the region to make it more sustainable.
It may be thousands of kilometers away from the Himalayas, but the melting glaciers of Greenland face the same threat. And Extreme E will race on land where the mighty ice once stood, now retreating rapidly behind. The final race of the series moves to one of the most precious and precarious ecosystems on the planet, the rainforests of Brazil.
We are now in the heart of the Amazon. We are in the state of Pará, and we are in an area that has just suffered a major fire. We are in this piece of rainforest that sadly has been destroyed by the flames. That's why this place is ideal. It's a place that is already damaged, where we are not going to cause any damage, but we are going to be able to contribute to restore. we're going to have a program to reforest the same area every year as the area where we race. And we're going to invite motorsport fans to join that effort and to reforest with us.
Extreme E is set to be a fantastic adventure, combining incredible motorsport to entertain with vital messaging to educate. And we can't wait to bring you all the news as the series grows.
London is one of the most famous and dynamic cities in the world and featured on the Formula E calendar in the first 2 seasons, with double-header finales providing incredible action.
We go green in London. I don't believe it! The 2 championship contenders out of turn 1!
After nearly 4 years, London is back on the schedule, and for British driver Sam Bird, the chance to meet the Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, at a school in the city was a great opportunity to spread the message of Formula E.
So today, myself and the Mayor, Sadiq Khan, have been teaching kids about Formula E, about the effects of climate change and the future of technology of electric vehicles. It's super important to teach young children about Formula E, the consequences of our actions and what we need to do to try and improve the planet. We, as a championship, tried to go to the heart of cities to promote electric vehicles and try and promote cleaner living. And it's up to the young kids to really take that on board, get excited by it and run with it.
What's important is for people to realise that actually it's possible to be environmentally friendly. It's possible to deal with the climate emergency and to drive. I realise not everyone's going to be able to walk, cycle, or use public transport. There is a role for the motor vehicle, and actually a lot of the technologies being trialled in Formula E we're going to see in the motor car on the streets in future years to come.
The final 2 races of the season will be held on a brand new racetrack that will race around and through the Excel Centre in the east of the city.
Absolutely thrilled that we're coming back to London and super excited for the event on the 25th and the 26th of July. We're going to be hosting the world's first ever indoor and outdoor motorsport event. It's going to be amazing.
Formula E coming to London will not just inspire Londoners, but inspire the next generation as well, not just be the next Sam Bird, but to invest in green technology. I can't wait. I think one of the things that Sam's done coming to this school today in East London is he's got a whole army of fans who'll be supporting him. Wouldn't it be great if there was this year, the last 2 races are in London, if we had a British winner of Formula E.
A double-header finale in London in my hometown. Yeah, it'll probably be the biggest race of my career.
And before they both got back to their very important jobs, Sam and Sadiq had time to grab a quick selfie to mark the occasion.
The season finale is set to be one of the best yet, and it will be the last time we get to see the Gen 2 car in its current form, as Formula E just announced the Gen 2 Evo. This updated car will be the vehicle that competes for the first ever ABB Formula E World Championship in Season 7, and we can't wait to see it hit the streets.
Next up, though, we are heading back to one of our favorite races from last season, Mexico City.
The fans will once again be out in force, hoping for the kind of drama we saw last year when Lucas de Grassi snatched the win right on the line. And we're looking forward to having the current King of Mexico host the show and guide us through his return to the Autodromo Jimenez Rodriguez circuit.
That's it. We're out. See you in the future, street racers.